there was some debris right there. Then I'm going along and there's this pickup truck going pretty damn slow, and it was oncoming traffic, so I slowed down. And I noticed they're tilted to the passenger side. Then I start seeing sparks. Yeah, they blew their tire, they're running the rim. They kept slowing down, slowing down, slowing down, until they finally stopped right after they got onto the bridge. 10 leagues. Then I said, okay, I'm done. I'm going around here.
Good way to start a fire.
I remember working at the tire field at Walmart, and a lady had pulled in with her donut spare on her car. She'd blown that. It was so bad, all the rubber was underneath the car, right? She'd ruined that rubber. Can't do anything. That's a donut. You got to go through the dealership. You can't do a damn thing with it. We looked in the back. She'd driven on the rim on the original as well. That's ruined. We had the right tire, but we had to order the rim. That took a couple days. So yeah. Okay. But yeah, that metal on concrete or asphalt doesn't do well.
Nothing surprises me.
We had to do a trailer one time. It was tandem, and it was carrying a pretty big EBFL forklift, right? And one of the tires blew north of Sioux Falls, and they couldn't find any place open that could do the work until they got down here. It was on a weekend. So both tires next to each other, and it was dual axle too, so it wasn't, but it's like, yeah, they had to get their forklift on so we could use our 20-ton floor jack to get her up and taken care of. But yeah, when you, and they weren't small. You can imagine all the heavy equipment. You don't use a small one. By the way, did you see what Wilson Trailer did recently? We manufacture livestock trailers, and they decided next month is Cancer Awareness Month. So they dipped out one of ours all in the face. That was up at the corner, northwest corner, right off of Broadway for a few days. Now it's making a tour down to Missouri to clinics, and it's going to spend all of October in Sioux City at the corporate headquarters. And if they get people to donate enough to fill all those ventilation holes, $31,000, and Wilson Trail will not.
Really?
I saw the vectors there. They were super appreciative. So it's like, I'll cover the earth.
That's all right.
Start thinking about I'll pick the topic and I'll let whoever I'm interviewing pick the topic. Well, if not, rule number one, Dan knows everything. If you have questions that, yeah. We're okay with you being on the line. I mean, we had you quoted some of them so far.
summer study, I think, in June for showing up.
Yeah.
I thought about it after going up and just saying, you know, but then I thought, you know what?
You do good when you do that, though. I mean,
I thought about going up there, but I didn't. But
you'll have a chance. So, I think you've got a bright future in government. It just takes time to learn, and when you think you've learned everything,
I
you
know.
don't.
Everybody have their mics on? Being the hour is 6 o'clock, I'll call the meeting to order. Please stand and join me with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody that's visitors for coming. Would ask that everybody put their cell phones on silent. Take a roll call, please.
Wanda,
Here.
Ryan,
Here.
John,
Here,
Dan,
Here.
Don.
Here. Next item on the agenda is anybody want to declare a conflict of interest on any of the matters on the agenda?
I have none.
I have none.
I do not.
I have none.
I have none. I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed the same, motion carries. Now is the time for public comment. Public comment is a time for persons to address this body on any subject. No action may be taken on a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an item upon which action will be taken. Each person has up to 3 minutes to speak. There shall be no personal attacks against the members of this body, county, staff, individual, or organizations. The chair has the authority to enforce this policy. Failure to adhere to these rules may result in forfeiture of the remaining speaking time. Is there anybody on the list, Gary? Nobody? No public comment? Public comment is closed. Next item on the agenda is petition for a rural fire district.
I received down petitions from the rural, to form a rural fire district. And I just need approval to approve the petitions, and we'll have an election.
Is your speak for our at-home viewers?
Is there anybody in the audience who wants to speak to this issue?
Sure.
Sure.
Come on up, Pete.
Please give me your name and address, please.
Pete Steffen, 300
Steve
Sherman.
Steffen?
Pete
Pete.
Steffen, 300 Sherman Avenue, Ballin. This has just been an ongoing process for probably the last 8 to 10 years, and we're just finally getting the ball and rolling here. And I've been working with Brian McGinnis up there at District 3, and it's just something that we need to get done now, just for the simple fact of costs and insurance and so on and so forth. So, and about 100% of our coverage people are for it. So I just wanted to brief you on it. So.
Okay.
Any questions?
No, I think this is a good idea for that area. It's gonna allow that department the ability to levy a small tax, which is what you guys want in order to take care of your homes and neighborhoods. So I guess I'd applaud you guys for doing that, and I'd move approval of the petition for a rural fire district.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for the approval of the petition for rural fire district. Any further discussion by the board? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same. Motion carries.
Good luck to you guys. Any,
Thank you.
any idea when the election will
No, I
be?
have to talk to the Department of Revenue.
Okay.
You guys have to, and then let me know where, you wanna have it.
We'll plan on having it in Bowling.
But where in
At a
Bowling?
building,
At Town Hall.
town hall.
Come on, Bolin's not that big yet. We have permission to help even smaller.
And I will let you know what Department of Revenue says.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda is hearing approval of the 2024 budget.
Couple minutes early, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Good
Yeah,
luck to
it's-
you.
It's at 6:10, so it's been advertised for 6:10.
We want to do that speed limit resolution first, or what's, it's just a couple
We
minutes.
can do Mike's now.
Well,
His might take, is yours gonna take a little while?
Yeah. it's
You
20
like to
minutes.
talk, Mike. Okay.
well, can't we do claims?
Sure, we can do claims. You all have copies of the claims? Any questions or? I'd entertain a motion to approve the claims.
I'm so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed the same.
I'd move to approve the auditor and treasurer's report
Second,
And pooled cash.
and pooled cash report.
second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the auditor's treasury report and pooled cash report. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries.
And then the unanticipated revenue was sheriff from, insurance.
Move approval.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the unanticipated revenue from the sheriff's department. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same.
I'd move approval of the WIC sub-recipient agreement.
I'll second that, but I do have something for further discussion on that one.
I have a motion and a second to approve the sub-recipient agreement for WIC. Further discussion?
Patty, has there been any increase in what the state is asking us to pay for WIC and then for the county health nurse for us?
No,
Okay.
it's the same, it's
Okay.
been the same.
Okay, that was my question, thank you.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same. Motion carries. I guess we could look at minutes to the September 5th meeting.
I'd move to approve the September 5, 2023 minutes.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the September 5th, 2023 minutes. Discussion?
My only question, action 23292C, when we transferred that property to the city, I thought it was a condition, it was redeveloped within 3 years. That was my only,
Pretty sure that was what was in the motion.
yeah, and it says something done with the property. So if we could change that, is the condition, the property is developed within 3 years. That was my only correction.
There's nothing in there about
That was,
work done in 3 years?
that was the motion, that it be
redeveloped.
Developed within
Yeah.
3 years. I wanted 1 year, but they thought 3 year was
Yeah.
more reasonable.
Yeah.
And, or
It's-
it would revert to the county.
Yeah. I probably wasn't speaking into my microphone, Wanda,
I'm sure not.
Okay.
so.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Now 10 minutes after 6, so we'll go back to hearing on approval of 2024 budget. Patty, are you gonna lead us off on that?
You have the budget, in your packet. If there are any changes, we have to do a motion for the changes that you decide to do.
Anybody have any questions or
I do
motions?
have a question, just simply because of the IT. I know we have a blank line on, we have not, a line in here of information technology and it's a
What
blank line.
number?
Let me get back to it here.
After 171?
171, yes, there it is. Yeah. And that's what I was asking you before, is for IT costs for the county wide, you said it's under data?
Yep. It is, it's with the other funds.
Other funds, okay.
It's the third sheet.
And where did we have the boys and girls,
That's in the commissioners under miscellaneous.
okay.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I did get a call from Jeff today that our air conditioning system is on its last leg.
For
and-
this building?
For this building, and it'll be at least $150,000 to replace it, if not more. I know it's bad timing, but I just figured I'd let everybody know.
I talked to him also, and he said the same thing, plus he said that there's somebody looking at an estimate, but it'll have to be put out for bids.
Yeah, yep, so.
Did you find the data?
I did not find the data.
I didn't either.
Isn't the data under every, isn't that under every department?
No.
It's,
It's,
What's the number?
it's 1015143.
101.
It's what?
Do you have these sheets? Maybe,
No.
let me, if you look in your book, it's under other funds. The third sheet. Oh, I guess. There you go.
Oh, there we go, okay.
It's in your book. It's just a total
It's
on
in
the
the book,
sheets.
but it's not in
It's a total on your sheet.
Okay. I just saw the IT, the one line was information technology. I wasn't sure if, I don't know, that's probably a line that we should be
the filling in.
filling in, I guess, and maybe.
Yeah, and that, you know, if you wanna put in, that is where we put everything with, our servers and encode. That's what we always just put in data. If you
Okay.
wanna put it in a special amount in there.
I would think next year we should divide it up,
yeah,
Mhm.
yep.
so
I
that
would agree with that.
we
I think
know
that's a good call.
what it
Yeah.
is that we're allocating to what,
Yep.
not just lumping
Yep.
it.
Mhm.
You okay with that, Ryan? We'll do that next year?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we can. I mean,
It's a good
as long as
call.
we can, as long as we can be able to spend the money that we need to for the infrastructure for the county right now
Yep.
and for next year. But yeah, next year, let's try to see if we can make a better budgeting around IT.
I'm gonna wait until Patty gets back. I think she was looking for something to add to this conversation.
Earmarked.
In the meantime, I understand we've got some IT issues that we need to look forward to here, to upgrade, and we've got an air conditioner in this building alone that we need to upgrade, but, I would like to plea, for each department to look at seeing, and I know the budget is set, we've got the numbers here in front of us tonight, but I would like to plea that every department looks at their financials, and if they can cut out, and I know employees and that, we're looking at a certain increase that we have to do. But if we can cut 3% out of the outside budget, for every department, it would be very helpful, and I think it can be done. Highway Department's gonna cut their budget by 7% for next year. Emergency Management's gonna cut their budget by 1.5%. And I understand there's increases in things, and we got inflation and those kind of things, but we need our department heads to buckle down and look at any place where they can be saving on the budget. And a lot of times, budgets exceed their spending. So therefore, if we can diminish the numbers that we're portraying out there, it would be beneficial to me, when we're looking at a budget anyway.
So you're asking to change the budget?
I'm not asking
No.
to change the budget, I'm just
He's
asking every
suggesting
department head
that
to
people
tighten their belt buckles.
tighten their belts and look for money to be saved.
I was
Yes,
just saying, it has to be approved tonight and then.
I understand.
I'd move to approve the budget as long as the IT information is contained in data, which I can't seem to find on this electronic spreadsheet.
Okay, in the budget, data was 105,200. How much of that do you want in to the 171?
I think, Patty, what we discussed when you were out of the room is I'm not speaking for you guys, but I believe we're all okay with how it is. And then next year,
Next year, we'll do it
Next year,
different.
we
he's
wanna
gonna,
try
he
to-
will
okay.
wanna do
We
that.
wanna try to reorganize it
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
To, try
So
to
that people
capture
can look
IT
at it
better.
and see where we're
Yeah.
actually spending it.
And then I can, run, with all these different items in there if you want for next year for when I give you guys the
Yeah,
budget.
we can sort
And
out
then you
something
can
for next year
decide,
to like
yeah,
how to
what to go in.
make a change in this,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the budget.
I'll second that.
John seconds. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Mike? Before you get started, Mike has been engaged in some activity and looking at things in the county and reviewing how things are done, and has come to us with some of his findings. And Mike, I'd like to thank you for your public service in doing this. He refuses payment, which is good for us, I guess. And I think he's done an excellent job of looking at things. Go ahead.
Thank you. For the audience, my name's Mike Welch. Late April, early May, I was here on a different issue, and I sat in on a meeting where everybody was talking about strategic planning. Well, I spent almost 30 years in the Air Force doing strategic planning. I spent another 10 years in the banking industry trying to do strategic planning, not terribly successfully. And then I taught it at Briarcliff University for about 10 years. And so I thought, well, hey, I could help. And so that's why I'm here tonight. I've spent the summer meeting with all of you and with all of the wonderful people of Yankton County government and some outside government agencies. And so my first point is to each and every one of you, thank you for the time that you've given me. You're so generous, open, above board, ready to answer questions. Everybody was just an expert in their field. And most of what we're going to hear tonight is my impressions and my opinions, but I have two absolutely undeniable facts. One of them is, when I first started, I didn't know nothing about Yankton County government, and I admit that openly and freely. And all of you have filled me in, and so what little bit I do know now is a direct result of your generosity and the time that you gave me. The second thing is that absolutely without exception, we have outstanding people in every position at this dais and also in every position in government. The people who work for you, the elected officials and the employees, are absolutely top-notch. And I'm saying that coming from about, I guess I'd say, 40 years of working in professional environments. I have not ever seen a better group of people anywhere, and I mean that absolutely. Every department that I talked to, every department director had, of course we all have our own individual issues that we are concerned about and relatively minor things that we're concerned with. But there are three things that just jumped out at me that were true across the board in every department. The first one is budget. The second one is communication and coordination within county government and between county government and outside agencies. And then finally, the planning process, and that's really why we're here tonight. One thing I know about strategic planning, and that is that the first thing you do is you try to create a baseline. And it says, all right, here's where we are right now. And that's what I was doing when I went out and talked to each of these department directors. I was trying to find out where are we right now. And also, while I was doing it, I was looking for low-hanging fruit. In other words, problems that can be solved without going through a lot of crazy activity with coming up with all sorts of strategic plans and so forth. What can we work on now that we already know about and try to solve these problems without having to go through a tremendously detailed strategic planning process? So first, budget. What are the challenges? Well, we have a limited budget. That's what we were going through tonight. And we have unlimited needs. And they are absolutely unlimited. One of the things we see frequently is that there are needs that go unmet because we just don't have the money to do it. During the summer, there was an issue with 294th Street that needs to be paved. We don't have the money to do it. There are bridges that need to be repaired. We don't have the money to do it immediately. But Mike's working on an excellent incremental improvement plan with our roads and bridges, and we'll get to that in a minute. Another issue that came up is uncontrolled expenses. The one that is most significant is the cost of youth detention. Wanda's made us aware occasionally during our commission meetings how much we spent last month for youth detention. And the indications are it's going up. It's very time consuming and it's very expensive because the kids have to be transported to Sioux Falls, detained in Sioux Falls, and then brought back home. So it's a tremendous expense. Opportunities, I will just say that it's very, very unlikely that we're going to see any tax rate increases. If you look back through the history our highway department website and other places, you'll find that there have been attempts at raising taxes here and there. They always fail. So increasing taxes is probably not an option. Well, what do you do then? Well, the first thing you do is you try to avoid cost. Another thing you can do is you can go out and search for grants. And then finally, we can focus on activities where there is potential for income, especially fee generation. So cost avoidance. With youth detention in particular, keep it local. Deb Lilly and the state's attorney's office are doing, in conjunction with the sheriff and the courts and the school systems, are doing just an absolutely wonderful job with the JDAI diversion program for kids. There are a number of children in their program. I'm going to suggest that the number's in the neighborhood of 40 who are really and truly being cared for individually and in a group setting at the Boys and Girls Home, the Boys and Girls Club, Deb Lilly, Sheriff Chrissy, others, to try to bring them along and turn them into excellent citizens without the expense of youth detention. It's a wonderful program. I'll bring this up again later, but the threat is that that's operating on a grant. And that grant is due to expire in July of 2024. Deb's working on it, but we don't have a replacement yet. And that's a big issue, and it could be a big mess if we don't get a grant to replace the one that we're currently using. Mike's doing a great job with the highway department. And when I observe what he's doing, and he's worked in conjunction with John, they have actually gone out and gotten a tremendous grant recently to work on the Stone Church Bridge. It was just eye-watering to see that happen, and it's a fabulous replacement for the grant that we had before. And so it sort of begs a question, and that is, well, if we went out and got that grant, what grants are there that we don't know about and that we're not applying for? It seems to me like a full-time focus on going out and looking for grants and writing grant proposals and monitoring their success would be a good idea. Well, guess what? Nobody wants to add anybody to the county payroll. An idea might be a college intern. We happen to have two excellent educational institutions not very far away from here. One's Mount Marty University, another one is the University of South Dakota. And I don't know this for certain, but I would guess that they probably have degrees that they offer in things like community planning. Well, it might be a really good way for those kids to get some practical experience to come to work at Yankton County government and write grant proposals and do research. And let's face it, colleges and universities live on grant money. And so professors are pretty good at this. So I would think we could identify, write, and apply grants better than what we're doing now because it's somewhat piecemeal. As an example, Mike has better things to do than sit in his office and write grant proposals, right? And you can tell that he's not doing that, just looking at him. He can go out there and run any piece of equipment just as well as the guy that he hired to run it. And so he's out there getting jobs done, and that's exactly what he should be doing, and he shouldn't be sitting in his office and writing grant proposals. Fee income. I happen to be sitting in Sheriff Christie's, yeah, that's funny. I happen to be sitting in Sheriff Christie's office when he was negotiating with the feds on how much money we get per prisoner per day to house them in the Yankton County Jail. This guy's a tough negotiator, man. I was ready to quit, and he kept on going, and he managed to get his price. And so that's fee income. That's a lot of money that's coming into the county, and it doesn't have to come from taxes. And that youth detention thing, instead of becoming an uncontrolled expense, it could become a source of income. Well, how could that happen? It could happen because Sheriff Christie is able to identify space either within the building where his sheriff's office is located or in some other location here in Yankton County where youth detention could take place here. That way we actually detain the youth here. we can manage it locally, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if people in Union County and Clay County and Bonham County might rather have their youth detained in Yankton County than they would have them detained in Sioux Falls. And it wouldn't surprise me one bit if we could beat the price that Sioux Falls is charging. So that's another potential for fee income instead of an uncontrolled expense. Communication and coordination. Within Yankton County government, I think the communication and coordination is pretty good. It appears, you can see the budgeting process tonight. That went through a pretty detailed review as we've gone forward. And so people really and truly do communicate with each other. However, in their day-to-day operations, they're pretty much within their own silo. They're not talking to each other unless the commissioners come by and broaden out their perspective a little bit. A place where we really have a deficiency is between county and other government, county and the utilities, the utility providers, and the county and businesses. I think that it appears that the relationship between Yankton County government and Yankton City is pretty good. Some of the other municipalities, maybe not so good. We see leaders from from Vollen and from Gayville in here pretty frequently, but some of the others not so much. So those are the challenges. What are the opportunities? Well, internally, this is a basic principle. What gets measured gets managed. And when people bring, if we would conduct our commission meetings more in the line of a staff meeting, where individual departments would bring in, let's say, measurements that say they're measuring their success. For example, the emergency management department might say, well, here's how many exercises we ran this month. Here's how many search and rescue operations we ran this month. The sheriff might say, well, we had X number of service calls this month. We had X number of traffic accidents this month, and here's where they were. And so if we're being aware on a regular basis for what the departments are doing, it might help us a little bit to anticipate problems. Another is an interdepartmental coordination process. Let's say, for example, that somebody's deciding to put in a new development out on Kaiser Road. And it's going through the planning process, and Gary's deeply involved in it, and so is the rest of his staff. And then I just wonder if the emergency management department is ever informed of what's going on once we get close to approval. Same thing with the sheriff, same thing with emergency medical services. It seems to me that we could create a format where once a proposal gets into a fairly firm status, that it could be circulated around among the departments so that at least they would be aware, and if they have a comment or a concern, they could let it be known at that time. Externally, this is a little bit more difficult to do, and it's probably something we'll have to work on hard. A monthly invitational forum. And what I mean by that is bringing in people from other governments, from businesses and utilities to let's say a monthly or quarterly luncheon where people sit in the same room, they have lunch together, they listen to a topic of interest to everybody. And the topic of interest is important, but that's not what's really happening. What's really happening is that people are meeting each other. They know each other. It's a lot easier to pick up the phone and call somebody if you just had lunch with them than it is if you've never met them before. And there are certain people in some of the utilities that none of us have ever met. And so I think it would be a good way to enhance communication and coordination. The planning process. County government is really designed to be reactive. And what that means is that they're very good at responding to the needs of the citizens, but not so good at looking down the road and seeing what's coming next. So, and what we end up doing is we're so busy stomping out fires that we don't have time to plan. Again, there's limited time and unlimited issues to deal with. And another fact of county government is that we have elected officials. And so every one of the officials who's sitting up here in front of us, as well as some that are sitting, that are running their departments, are elected. And they answer to the voters. And so if somebody comes in and says, well, I think you ought to move your office across the street, or you might do your business in a different way, that elected official is going to say, well, you know, thank you very much for the input, but I don't think so. Because they don't answer to each other. So I thought initially that a strong county executive might be a good idea. It's a non-starter. Nobody wants it, nobody. A couple reasons. First of all, nobody wants to add anything to the county payroll. Secondly, it's what I said, they're already elected. They're elected by the voters and they answer to the voters. So an alternative is what we're doing right now, and that is to do a little bit of strategic planning, thinking down the road, coming up with a vision statement, a mission statement, goals and objectives. And a lot of people in this strategic planning process make the mistake of starting at the top. In other words, they'll create a vision statement, a mission statement, a large set of goals, and have a whole bunch of sub-objectives, and they'll put it into a report, and they sit it on the shelf, and it stays there and collects dust for the next 20 years, kind of like our comprehensive plan that was created in 2003. The correct way to do it is to start at the bottom. And what I mean by that is cross-functional teams for specific projects. Now, when you guys read through the report I gave you, you're going to find about 10 findings. Each of those findings has a recommendation associated with it. Each recommendation has a specific objective that should be achieved, and I recommend the makeup of a cross-functional team that would solve that problem. A good example I'll give you is the recent solar task force that we had. I participated in it, John participated in it, Ryan was the chair. We had 3 members of the Planning Commission. We had input from, there were public meetings that were held in this room. We had input from the public. I invited the CEO of BY Electric to come and talk to us about the issue. And Gary was kind enough to sit in the back of the room and listen to what we were talking about and come up with a cogent document at the end of it so that we had a product. And that's how you start out. You start out by finding these low-hanging fruit issues that can be solved in a timely manner, and you take it on. I think we met 6 times, or five or six? Five times, and we came up with a document. That was 5 weeks. Well, I have 10 findings. That's at least a year's worth of work, and that's where you should start. Don't be trying to figure out a big new comprehensive plan first. First, solve the problems that are right in front of you, and then we'll move on from there. Now, when I started this process and interviewing all of the people in the county, I was not looking for threats. However, 2 things came up that I just can't ignore, and it would be irresponsible of me not to address these issues. The first one is a wind, fire, flash flooding event. Well, you say we live in the Midwest and we're going to have high wind events. Well, that's true. If you look at the NOAA weather website, you'll find that we've had 20 tornadoes that have touched down in Yankton County in the last 70 years. And there's a map that you can look at, and there's absolutely no pattern to where they touch down. They can be anywhere. In addition, we've had recent, what they call now a derecho, I call it a straight line wind event, not far away from here, and they cause a lot of damage. South Deer Boulevard, if you've driven down that way or if you live down that way, and if you take a look, I use Google Earth. You can use any website that you want to that can show you that area. I did a rough count. I come up with over 300 rooftops in that area. In addition, there's at least one trailer park. There are a number of RV parks down there. So what does Murphy's Law say? It says that whatever's going to happen will happen at the worst possible time in the worst possible way. So here's the event. We have a high wind event down by the river, South Deer Boulevard. It knocks down trees. It starts a fire. There's been heavy rain prior to that. And because of the poor drainage in that area, there's flooding. You're going to have people trying to get out at the same time Paul's people are trying to get in. There's a 2-lane road that was very adequate once upon a time when there weren't so many houses down there. Now, this is a nightmare scenario, and what in the world do you do about it? So I went to the DOT briefing about the new stoplight that they're going to put on Highway 52, and I took advantage of the situation, I admit it, and I started asking the guy, do you ever consider emergency situations in your transportation plans? And he said no. And I said, so I gave him the scenario. And I talked to one of the engineers after the meeting, and guess what? There is a grant program. And if I can get the mouse to click on it, there it is. It's called the U.S. DOT Protect Grant. There's a grant available, and here it comes. Maybe not. Okay, not on your screen, but it's on my screen. Anyway, the point is there is a grant out there. It is competitive, and there was $850 million in that grant. There it is. Okay. In that program for 2023. So there are grant programs out there, and we just need to take advantage of them. That's amazing. Okay, let's go. All right, right here. And start from here. All right, back to where we were. So that's a difficult situation, and we need to put a team together and study that situation and find ways to solve that problem before the high wind event takes place. This one I'm showing now is still a threat. It is nowhere near as urgent, but it's something that we need to think about, and that is that there's been a West Yankton sewer system feasibility study completed in 2022. We're talking $50 million plus. What we don't want is we don't want a state or federal mandate that tells us we have to do it. What we do want is to get ahead of the situation and find ways around it. I am very concerned that in a wet year, we could have fecal coliform E. coli outbreaks. Somebody gets sick, it raises people's attention level, and then all of a sudden we've got a major problem. So let's get ahead of that one and move on. Now, first time I ever spoke to this group, I said this: Yankton County is a gem. It's worth preserving and protecting. And Yankton County isn't just one place. Yankton County is the lake area. It's the prairie around Utica. I mean, if you were, that looks like central Iowa to me. Then there's the Utica Hills. Where did that come from? The James River Valley, Turkey Ridge, the plain around Gayville, the Missouri National Recreational River, the historic city of Yankton. This was the capital of the Dakota Territories, and the towns with their ethnic festivals. Yankton County is a very special place. One of the people I talked to in my interview told me it's one of the 2 best places to live in South Dakota, and I agree with that. The other is the Black Hills. I think we're better. We have a vibrant manufacturing, agricultural, and retail economy, excellent educational and medical institutions, And we should take advantage of that. Whenever we do get around to creating a vision statement for Yankton County, here's what I think it should be. By 2050, the citizens of Yankton County will be recognized as having the best quality of life in the United States. Now, just one of those, I'm going to see if I can get this thing to come up. Just one of those opportunities is our Missouri River National Recreational River. It is an absolutely wonderful resource. A lot of people don't even know that it's a national park, and it is a national park. And so if you're interested in kayaking or boating or fishing or hunting or just being out with your kids, go to that website. I can't seem to get it to come up tonight, but go to that website and take a look at it. There's about a 50-second video that just waters your eyes. And so I really think that we should focus heavily on what a great place we are and make the decisions and take the actions today that are going to put us in that vision by 2050. So thanks again for the opportunity to talk to all of you. Sorry about taking so much time tonight, but once I start running my mouth, I can't seem to stop. So any questions or comments? And if not, please do read through the report. And if you have questions or comments, you can get in touch with me.
Mike, I want to thank you for the number of hours that you put in on reviewing these things and looking into the positive things that are happening and exist in Yankton County. And I guess my intention is I'll keep in contact with you on things that I can do to work towards that goal.
Please do. Thanks all of you. Thank you very
Thanks,
much
Mike.
for your
Thank you,
time
Mike.
tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Next item on the agenda is Mike and the speed limit resolution on 294th Street.
Rob, you have the resolution?
They have it.
Okay.
Yep,
Do we have both of them or just one?
It's put on one.
two are together.
Two.
Go ahead.
Alrighty. It's a speed limit resolution for 294th Street and the Northwest Jim River Road. Whereas pursuant to SDCL 32-25-9.1, the Yankton County Board of Commissioners may determine and establish speed zones upon all or any part of the highways under its jurisdiction having charge of the maintenance of its roads. And whereas the portion of Yankton County Road 294th Street from US Highway 81 to 452nd Avenue in the approximate distance of 12 miles, 294th Street, and the portion of the Yankton County Northwest Jim River Road from 43127 Northwest Jim River Road in the approximate distance of 500 feet east and 500 feet west from the said location, and that the portion of the Yankton County Road 43320 Northwest Jim River Road in approximate distance of 500 feet to the east and 500 feet to the west from said location. All portions of said roads having seen a significant increase in traffic resulting in dust control issues for neighboring properties. And whereas the speed limit on the herein described roadways of 294th Street, 43127 Northwest Jim River Road, and 43127 Northwest Jim River Road is currently 55. I got a typo there, Rob. And whereas the Yankton County Highway Superintendent recommends that the herein described 294th Street speed limit be reduced to 25 mile an hour, and the herein described 43127 Northwest Jim River Road, and the herein described 43127 Northwest Jim River Road be reduced to 20 mile an hour to ensure the safety of travelers on said roadways, and to increase the dust control on the residents' dwellings located nearby. And whereas pursuant to SDCL 7-18A-8, the adoption of the resolution may take effect immediately for the preservation of the public peace, health, or safety. Now therefore be resolved by the Yankton County Board of Commissioners in accordance with SDCL 32-25-9.1 declares that the Yankton County Highway Department is hereby authorized to reduce the speed limit on the following portions of roadways. On 294th Street to 25 miles per hour from US Highway 81 to 452nd Avenue Road and in the approximate distance of 12 miles. And on Northwest Jim River Road to 20 mile an hour from 43127 Northwest Jim River Road in the approximate distance of 500 feet east and 500 feet west from the said location, and from 43320 Northwest Jim River Road in the approximate distance of 500 feet east and 500 feet west from said location. Be it further resolved that the resolution shall be effective immediately.
I move to approve the resolution establishing reduced speed limits for 294th Street and the Northwest Jim River Road, as
Second.
set forth in the resolution.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. Any public input on this?
I think we got one, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, come up, sir.
It's great that you all are trying to do something.
Come on up to the mic and then
Come on up,
just
Rich.
give us your name and,
I'm Rick Goodrich. I live on 294th Street. I kind of came in here and lost my temper. I'm sorry. But we've been dealing with this a long time. It's great that you're trying to do something. You're not going to stop these people at 25 mile an hour. It's not going to happen. Unless you have a sheriff department car sitting down there. They're coming from 448th, and you can hear them. They're rocking. I have gravel trucks, trailers, horse trailers. I can't blame the farmers, but they can go slower. Can't blame the people that live on there because they live on there. But I got people coming through, I say 50, 60 mile an hour. I'm not lying. And it's covered. You can sit in my house and just watch it. I appreciate it, but it's not going to make a difference unless you get somebody down there sitting on the road, because they're just going to rock through there anyways. Thank you.
thank you for your comments. Any other comments? Well, I think we will ask the sheriff to start, if you pass a law and don't monitor it, it's useless. I agree with you on that. So I think we will ask the sheriff to be out there.
And
They got other things to do, I understand that. I can't sit on my road and stop everybody. That's just not gonna happen. There's other things going on in this county.
But I think if you have the law in place, and at least if you get them out there once or twice or something like that, a little bit, at least people, people might start to slow down and respect the sign then. So, yeah, you can't patrol it 100%, but
No, sir.
I live off of 11th Street, which was,
I know where you live.
okay, which was reworked, and we're going to stop, put speed limits up, discuss that later in this meeting. But I try to drive the speed limit. Sometimes it goes 5 miles an hour over, but I tell you, there's a ton of the people that are going, like you said, 50 or 60 miles an hour.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of them are younger people, our kids.
It's just not, no, there's older dudes driving these trucks.
Yeah.
They're not just kids.
Well, thank you, and we'll keep working on it. thanks for coming to the meetings. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, the same, motion carries.
I got two other things, just to inform you guys, we did have an employee that went to part-time. So I need to advertise for full-time employee. And then also, next Tuesday at 6 o'clock is a 5-year plan meeting right here, so.
And next Monday is the county
Picnic.
picnic.
Busy week. I did get a 45, not me, the James River Board did grant a $45,000 grant for,
The riprap.
the riprap for the, was it North James River?
Yep,
Northwest James River Road, and Mike did attend that remotely and did a great job. So thank you for doing that, Mike.
Had audio problems, but
Yeah,
we made it happen.
we adapted.
So, thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mike.
Mike.
Paul, talk to us about the Knox box resolution.
The Knox box?
Maybe not.
This thing.
This,
No, that's not the Knox box. The
Something
Knox
else.
box.
search and risk, this?
Well, no, there's two things tonight I had to talk about. The Knox box resolution was the resolution that we talked about gated communities out by the lake, and having that when planning and zoning did their thing and give a permit for, I don't know, we wanted to have something where emergency services could get into these gated communities, and the Knox box is like what the fire departments use. We have one here on this building. It's a special key that's only given to certain entities, so they can get access to the property in case of a 911 call. And I know we were gonna, I thought we were,
I thought it was forwarded, I'm looking right now
Okay.
to see if they don't have it.
that's fine. But that's what we're talking about doing. We want to bring that forward so that we can get that passed and approved so that we have a means, because we're getting a lot of communities out there, whether it be the RV parks or even gated communities themselves are putting up pretty good significant gates, and we don't want to be, delayed in the amount of that. So we're just trying to figure out a way to make that work. And the Knox box resolution is something that we got from Larry Nichols at the Yankton Fire Department that follows pursuit what they have. And it's pretty stringent. This isn't something that we made up. It's a law, because Knox box is a national program, so not everybody gets a key. So we're following that recommendation, what they made.
Do you want to?
Did Steve do one of those?
Well, he's doing it for individual homes, like if somebody is elderly, they can get a Knox box and then the ambulance. I think Troy probably be better commenting on that. But wasn't there something a while back that you could get a Knox box through you for a fee?
Yes,
But didn't Steve come in and didn't they do something?
But this is this is just for, the one that they did was for an individual home. We're
Oh.
talking gated communities with this process, so.
Okay.
No. But anyway,
Do you want to wait on that?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we don't, if we don't have it, we
Yeah,
can't.
sorry,
Yeah.
Paul, that's my fault. I did look at it, and I thought I forwarded it back, but
Okay.
I mustn't have, because they don't have it. So
No
we'll-
big deal.
We'll move it to the next meeting, so I
Okay,
apologize.
not a problem.
Are we getting a lot more gated communities?
There's
or
about
what?
10 right now, there's about 10 of them out there that are gated, 9 for
10?
sure.
Gated communities?
Yes. You need you have to have a means to pass to open the gates to get into it.
I know of one. Where are the other 9?
There is the 2 of the RV parks, the little tiny homes.
That's the one I know of.
Okay, that's one. There's up in, one of the developments next to the dairy dock, I believe is what it's called. They're looking at putting in gates, but if you got a north end to come in, it's chained across, you can't get in that way. So, talking with the people, and I've talked with Gary, and we've looked at a means of approaching this so that we have a means to have some access. I don't care if they gate them, but we had one gentleman says, well, just drive your ambulance through the gate, we'll fix it later. Well, that's $20,000 worth of damage on your ambulance for, not saying somebody's life isn't worth that, but why are we wrecking vehicles? When,
Exactly.
but yet they can still have their right to be behind a gate. We're not saying eliminate that.
The
Just
cost, in your opinion, would be on the community
Yep.
to bear that?
Right,
Okay.
yeah, and you're probably, Larry Nichols was telling me that there's like 4 or 5 different versions that you get, whether it be key code, a card fob, but you're looking at maybe $400 or $500 to have this added to the system. So I mean, it isn't like an astronomical price, but it's just something that.
Sure.
And working with the individuals, I mean, we talk to people that just says, yeah, just let us know what we need to do, so.
Let's move on to the
Yep.
vehicle removal,
Okay.
because when you present this
So-
next time, there will be different people.
Yep, right.
Maybe,
Chuck, we can talk about it more. So we got, the sheriff's department gave us a call back, it was on the Thursday before Riverboat Days, saying that they had a vehicle in the river and they didn't know if anybody was in it. So we got, our search and rescue team went out, they dove it and found out there was nobody was in it. So luckily, we were told, the sheriff's department told us the vehicle was stolen by the homeowner, or the owner. Long story short, this gentleman needs the vehicle pulled out. Nobody wants to hook to it unless they get paid. I've talked to a lot of state officials, I talked to the national officials, I've talked to everybody under the sun. It's nobody's river. I mean, it's just a body of water running through our county, depending who you talk to. I even talked to DANR, thinking that there might be federal money, because if you got oil leak on the ground, they want somebody to come clean it up right away, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I asked Dan one time if there was anything about with the Jim River, because they have a great board and all this stuff. And he says, we'll talk to Mike? Dan? Dave. So I called Dave and sent him an invoice of, would you guys be willing to take a look at sending, helping us assist of pulling this truck out? So the bill I sent him was
$750.
Thank you. And so right now, they are more than willing to write a check for their half. They only pay half, and they want the county to pay the other half. So I said, well, I'll have to see. And so I'm here tonight to see if you guys are willing to pay the other half of the $1,875 is what the half would be.
What about the guy who owns the truck?
No insurance.
I don't care. He's gonna want it back, isn't he?
Well, not until we get reimbursed back, I would assume. Gary will hold it for us, or let me rephrase it, whoever we get, Gary's is a name that
Typically
gave us a
does it.
price.
I'd say as long as whoever holds it doesn't hold it for years, because we had that
Yeah,
one vehicle, we don't want it to be in there for a year and we end up paying
Because
more
the
storage.
county's not
than
paying
it's worth.
storage.
Storage,
So
right.
yeah, that's a good point Wanda brings up, the county should not.
We were told, and again, I don't, Preston, I didn't get him to come here tonight, but we were told that the gentleman had no insurance on the vehicle and that he had just been evicted out of his house. So, I mean, it's unfortunately, whatever it is, I mean, that's here nor there. But we need, to, in my opinion, to get the, and honestly, I don't know why I'm here doing this. This should be the sheriff's job. But I'm here that we need to get the vehicle out. We've got a gentleman here from Dan Hatchesky is here tonight from the Mission Hill Township, concerned about when the vehicle went through the signs that were saying they're red signs and barricaded. I had Mike come out, put some temporary up for us, but they need to get them back the way they were, because it could be actually a liability back on the township, because it's a township road. So I'm just here tonight to ask if we'd be willing to, I may have that in my budget at the end of the year. I do not know that. I mean, I should, but, if.
is the investigation on it over?
As far as I know,
Nobody will do anything.
no.
Probably the guy that owned it dumped it. Maybe.
I
Maybe I shouldn't say probably. Maybe.
All I know is the vehicle was reported stolen to the sheriff's office when we got called to go out to make sure nobody was in it.
Afterwards.
This is the unique type of things that counties have to deal with, and like was said this weekend, the counties are the drawer in your kitchen where you don't know where that thing goes and you just throw it in there, and so this is on us, and the right thing to do is get it out of the river, and so I'd move approval of the request.
I second that.
Have a motion and a second to approve the request.
And then toward what Wanda said, that I think we need to be clear that the county's not gonna be responsible for any storage of the vehicle at all.
And if we have to, I could probably find a location to hide it until we can get reimbursement back from it,
And with,
My understanding, the billfold is still in the front seat.
What year is it?
I don't know that.
Mike,
Sure.
you've been looking for a new truck, right? Maybe?
Yeah. Fixer upper.
Wait,
And with the
Oh,
provision.
sorry.
And with the provision that before it goes back to the guy, he pays his half.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I guess one of the short, I'm Dan Hatchesky, Mission Hill Township North, I'm representing them. County owns an excavator, why all this problem? Go down there with the excavator, hook on it with the excavator, pull it up over the bank. That way they can lift it up and it ain't gonna drag it up over the bank, which is gonna cause erosion on that road, or at the end of that road, and onto the adjacent landowners. I guess I don't understand that. Why can't that be a situation?
Why don't
Save
we-
everybody money.
Why don't we ask the road superintendent?
I'm
Can you drag that thing out of the river?
perfectly fine as long as someone else hooks it up, but the liability, I don't know, is there gonna be any liability if we damage the pickup or vehicle, whatever it is?
That's-
Well, he hasn't, the owner, whoever he may be, hasn't seemed too interested in it if it's been there since riverboat days.
The reality that we live in now is an issue of liability with our own employees and legal liability, and I guess I gotta defer to what you guys say. I'm thinking a tow truck for a minimal cost of getting that pulled out. I get what you're saying, Dan, and I understand, but,
I'm sorry, what?
yeah.
Oh, bank erosion.
What do you think, Paul?
From my understanding, they were gonna reach out, pick it up, and then, I don't know, I mean, I don't know how they're dragging it out, if they're dragging it up the bank, or gonna boom out, pick it up. I'm not the tow truck guy.
But Gary is the one.
Gary is the one that was gonna come out
And
with his big record.
I would trust Gary as far as whatever he's doing. I'm with Dan as far as our liability in that. Tow truck operators they have their own insurance. I don't know if the county's insured if we hook it up to our excavator, but I know Gary would be insured for any damages to the vehicle or the bank or whatever. I'm just,
Dan, would you just want to avoid any erosion, right? So we can have Mike and Paul when they do hook it, because I assume it's going to be our search and rescue hooking it up. If you could just mention that we want to avoid a big erosion problem. That's what you want to avoid, correct, Dan?
cost of the signage, who's gonna put that there?
Cost of the
The
what?
signage?
signage, I
Well,
guess that
we're-
would be up to the
that's-
vehicle owner.
Yeah.
There were signs down there said road closed, and then there were angled delineators to mark it, and that is mowed over.
That's a,
Somebody went through on one side, and somebody must have been down there with something and done the other side, and mowed them posts over too.
it's
Well,
a,
obviously, the signage has to
township
go back
road.
up.
I don't know, if this would have been a county road, I know it's on us, I'm not sure about a township road,
It'd be on the owner.
yeah. Yep. Well,
the owner of the vehicle,
owner of the vehicle.
who's broke, can't do anything apparently, or
And doesn't care about his truck anymore anyway.
Can you work?
I'm sorry?
Pick up,
Does the individual work? Does this individual have a name?
I guess you'd have to ask the sheriff that question. Because he can look to see whose vehicle it is.
If there's a cost, we can add it to it at the end.
yeah, he's not gonna get the vehicle back for sure until the cost is paid, and
At this juncture, does he want the vehicle back?
probably not, but I'll bet he wants his wallet back.
does he got his house? Does he still have his house, or has it been taken away?
That's a question, I mean, for the sheriff. I mean, we're just working, like I said, to me, the sheriff should have been here asking these tough questions, or answering them.
If he still has ownership of his house, drag the damn vehicle back and put it in his yard, and the bank can worry about it.
No.
Well, Rob, we can place a lien on any real property by the owner, is that
I thought they said
accurate
he
or
was
not?
evicted.
Oh, I
If
don't-
he's been evicted, that means he's a tenant. If he's a tenant,
Yeah. I think this is an example where the county takes it in the shorts again, and
frankly, I'm not too worried about the owner of a vehicle that's been in the river for a month suing the county for the damage to the vehicle. That, I would think that if it went through signage, went down into the river, there'd probably be some damage before we got there. Prove what damages are damage and what damage came from going into the river.
I guess we got a motion.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion? Dan, would you restate your motion again?
My motion was to approve the request of the $3,750 to have the,
No, half of that.
or half of that. Well, I think what we do is we approve that, knowing that we have a grant for half already, and we gotta submit the bill. And I just think we let the tow truck guy know that please be careful when you extract it. I just, the liability on our people, I just don't know if it's worth saving a couple $1,000 to have an excavator fall in the river, which has happened in years past.
Do you want that on the whole motion?
No, just move approval of the request. So I'll restate my motion to just approve the request.
John seconds.
Yes.
No further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Dan,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Wanda,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Don.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll be very careful. We'll try to.
Yes.
Mike, you can work on the signage with Mr. Hatchike.
Okay.
Gary.
We have two rezones tonight. This is second reading, so I'll go through the legal. For the first one, the applicant wishes to rezone a parcel from Rural Transitional District to Lakeside Commercial District per Article 18, Section 1809, and Article 20, Section 2003. Said property is legally described as Jackman Tract A in the south half of the northwest quarter of Section 16, Township 93 North, Range 56 West of the 5th Principal Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota, as per plat recorded in Book S19, page 382, Less Highways and Roads. And the applicant is here if you have any questions.
Do we vote tonight or no?
No.
Yeah, we do,
Yeah.
second reading.
Second.
Yeah.
Move approval.
Mr.
I'd
Chairman,
second.
let's open it up to public comment.
Any public comment? Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed the same, motion carries.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Next item, Gary?
Second reading again, applicant wishes to rezone a parcel from rural transitional district to moderate density residential district R2 per Article 18, Section 1809, and Article 20, Section 2003. Said property is legally described as the west 23 rods, south 14 rods in the southwest quarter, excluding Lot H2 in Section 18, Township 94 North, Range 55 west of the 5th Principal Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota. E911 address is 44006 306th Street, Yankton, South Dakota, and the applicant is here for any questions.
Any questions? Entertain a motion?
I'd move to,
Public comment? You gotta ask for public comment.
Public comment?
I'd move to approve the replat.
Second.
Have a motion.
Rezone.
I'm sorry, rezone, my
Second.
bad.
Have a motion and a second to approve the rezone. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
opposed the same. Gary, next one, Schwak, plat.
Yeah, so we have one plat tonight, plat of Tract 1, Brandon Schwak's addition in the northwest quarter of Section 25, Township 94 North, Range 56 West of the 5th Principal Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Move approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item, Keith.
Hi, name's Keith Milkey. I live on West 11th Street off of on June Lane. I'm here to request 2 additional speed limit 30 signs, one on each direction located centrally on West 11th. Currently, there's only a speed limit sign on each end of West 11th Street. One resident requested we add children at play to each sign. Another resident suggested drive like your children live here to add to the effectiveness of this sign. Delivery vehicles and some individuals don't follow the posted speed limit signs. Community mailboxes and chip seal road have encouraged family and kids to walk to get to their mail. We also have dogs being walked, bicycles, and joggers. Kids walk on West 11th to the neighbors to play. I spoke to Sheriff Chrissy and Bill Weissep spoke to a deputy weeks ago. Both agreed to occasionally drive through the neighborhood, but we haven't seen any of them yet, and no one else has. With additional signage to remind drivers, we think it'll slow down traffic and make it safer for everyone. I understand it's not going to stop everybody, but it might help.
Is there any particular time of the day when it's worse? Like 5:15-ish?
Actually, no, because it's a busy street. There's a lot of deliveries, UPS, FedEx, and FedEx is usually pretty good. UPS, I won't mention anything, but one guy flies down that road. And one of the neighbors was gonna call. He knew who runs the UPS, but still, we've got drivers that come through, going to Majestic Bluffs, and young people, like Don mentioned, that and with no signs in the center there, where most of the homes are. I know when I drive, when I see a sign, and I look at my speedometer, and that. So I think it would help if we added one in both directions in the center of West 11th, wherever Mike, when he looks.
Your speed limit signs you're talking about, two speed limit.
2 speed limit signs.
What's the speed limit on the road?
And I think it would help to take and say children at play or something like that. 'Cause
But
there's
no-
a lot of kids in there.
Our agenda says stop signs instead of
Yeah,
speed
so
limit.
you
signs.
want
You want speed
speed
limit.
signs.
Speed limits, did I say stop?
That's
Yeah.
what this says, but I don't.
Speed limit signs, no. Sorry about that.
No, that was mine.
We already have a resolution on this road for speed, correct? West 11th? I believe we do already.
Yeah, there's one on each end.
Is that
What
correct?
he's wanting is more signs.
So you just want.
More
how much-
Additional.
How much more are the sign, what do the signs cost?
Sign and post, $67 for the sign and the post.
Each, so $140. All right. I think that's something Mike can just take care of unless the board has an issue with it.
I think-
Do you have signs that say children at play or something like that?
That I would have to
And we don't have those on, I don't know of any county road. Most of
I think you
the
could
signs
buy
I
them.
see are, purchased by the local landowner and, maybe you
Is
guys
that
could.
something that the people there could take and put on?
I would,
Mike, get the signs and put them up.
I think I drive
You're
that
talking
road quite a
additional
bit 'cause
speed
I have a
limit
friend
signs,
that lives
right,
out there.
Don?
I
What?
think
You're
that
talking additional
children at
speed limit
play
signs?
or people in the roadway or something like that would make more sense than
Yeah.
two more 30.
One
Speed
thing,
limits.
the chip seal, the second chip seal will be done, I think tomorrow is when they're gonna do it. And then the first week in October, there's gonna be center line stripes, and edge stripes, fog line stripes. Right now, people are flying, well,
Yeah.
they're probably driving in the middle of the road.
That-
It might help slow it down too.
would you be willing to wait until after that, and if the
Oh,
problem,
yes,
if the
I'm
problem
willing to
continues,
wait,
then
but
you can come back?
I would like the speed limit, because people look at that. There's some drivers that go flying, like Don said, and I live right there by West 11th, and man, they go flying by, and my neighbor's got 3 little kids,
Sure.
and,
I look at that as, it's kind of similar to West City Limits Road, but there's probably more houses on West 11th than there is on
yes,
West City Limits Road with kids and
a
families.
lot of kids.
My only concern with the kid signs, and it's not that I don't think it's a good idea, but I think that could be something that the neighborhood does, because then we're gonna get everybody in Riverside Acres is gonna want the same thing.
What if the
and
neighborhood,
all of-
what if
all
the
of that,
neighborhood
so-
wants to buy the signs and the highway department just puts them up when they put up the speed signs?
I think we need to stick to our signs and not.
We're talking about
putting up-
$5 a person.
That would be a
Where-
great start, putting
where
a
does it- where does it
speed
end?
limit
Where
sign
does
up.
it end?
I agree with
That's my
Dan, I
only
agree with
thing.
Dan, I think we don't wanna get ourselves muddied into providing all sorts of different signs, but I think, if the neighborhood wants to put up their own signs like that, I think the biggest
Go
thing is
for it.
that, make sure that, Mike, you give them direction on how far from the road and where they can put these signs, so that, if you wanna put up signs, additional signage that says, children at play, slow down, things like that, then you know that you're gonna have those signs up, and it's not gonna interfere with anything that the road department's doing. And then additionally, I think, I don't know, you have speed limit signs, they're on the ends of the roads right now.
Yep, both ends,
And so-
my suggestion is we'll
Add some
Let's
extra
just-
speed
let's
limit
just put
signs in the middle
two up in the middle
someplace.
and-
Yeah,
Yeah, and you
Call
pick
it-
where you think they need to go.
I'm gonna put them right in front of Weissup's house.
Yep.
And you can put one in front of mine too, I don't care.
Keith said he'll help you, give him a
Yeah,
postcard.
you can put one in front of mine, I don't care.
Tell Bill I said that.
Yeah, I will.
Mike, can you get the speed limit signs then? This is what I'm hearing.
Yep, I'm pretty
Get-
sure we have that.
Okay, then
I just
check
gotta
and
call
see
them.
on the price of the other signs. And if you guys want to pay for the other signs, then have them put up when you put the speed limit sign up.
Okay,
I'll check, I wanna see.
But
Isn't
we're
that what
probably
I said?
talking less than $100.
yeah, that's, if that helps. It's not gonna stop, everybody, but hopefully, that one of the delivery drivers that's there constantly, I mean, when he's in a hurry, he moves down that road.
Probably the same one that comes down my road. I swear,
Yeah,
UPS is the worst.
yeah.
Okay,
Maybe the sheriff's
That-
department should give them some tickets.
let's move on. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Next item on the agenda is Mr. Cowman.
Good evening to all of you. I think you had a letter in your packet that Eric wrote concerning the addition of a full-time employee. Do you guys have any questions about it to start off with? This is something that we budgeted for next year to add a couple of full-time employees. We just want to get a little bit of a head start because of some changes that have happened with our part-time employees, leaving some more open shifts, and so this is going to be the best way to fill those shifts.
Troy, how many full-timers does the ambulance have right now?
Right now, we have a total of 10 full-time employees, including Eric.
Okay, so you wanting to go from 10 to 11?
Yes, correct.
I don't know, I guess,
Any questions,
Yeah.
discussion?
Are we full staffed on full-time employees right now?
We are full staffed as far as the positions that we've had.
Full-time?
Yes, we've budgeted to add 2 new positions starting next year in the 2024 budget. But we are actually under budget for salaries so far this year, and just because of those openings, by the time we get somebody hired and get them started, it'll probably be in the first part of October anyway, so you're just talking the last 3 months of the year that we'll have an additional person on there.
so we have it budgeted for next year to increase full-time? Is that what you're telling
Yes,
us?
the addition
So
of-
you're going to how many for next year?
So then we'll have a total of 12 full-time employees next year.
You know, I guess I understand, you know, your situation, but, you know, and we're under budget, which is a good thing, but, you know, to me, just because you're under budget doesn't mean you have to spend it, and we are increasing it for your numbers for next year, and so I guess
What we're looking at is actually making sure that the shifts get filled. That's why
Sure.
that's why we need to do it, because
Are
we've
you
had.
having problems with that
Well,
right now?
not necessarily problems, but we've had 2 part-time employees just in the last month that, due to life changes, they've stepped away from permanent shifts that they had been working on weekends, and
Okay.
and so now those shifts are going to be open, and you know, just getting part-time employees to fill shifts is getting very, very difficult anymore because they have a work-life balance as well.
How many part-time employees does the ambulance have?
We're at about 18 or 19 part-time employees right now.
Okay. Is there a way, and are there any openings, or are those open right now?
You know, with part-timers, we don't really have a cap on it, we just hire as needed.
Okay.
The problem is, again, the shifts that we need filled are usually when they're working other jobs.
Sure, no, I understand. Would there be any way we could, because come January 1st, it's already budgeted, would there be a way we could fill the gap with a part-time or a temporary person? Because we gotta avoid, you know, hiring all these new employees all the time, and it seems to me it's like a kind of a stopgap measure till January. And if we hire this person now, then we're still gonna hire another one in January, right? So instead of
Right,
hiring
so-
2 in January, we'd hire 1 now.
One now and 1 more in
Is that what you're
January.
saying?
And the short answer for the part-timers filling it in is very unlikely that's gonna happen.
So are we running any overtime with the full-time employees right now?
There are some of the full-time employees that are filling in these part-time shifts and getting overtime for it, yes.
Okay, so this would help alleviate overtime as well?
Yes, it would.
Good comments.
So, my comment or thought would be, do we want to limit this to an EMT, or do we want to say this position would be EMT/medic? And if we can find another medic, in the meantime, that would be a possibility to hire a medic versus an EMT?
Yeah, we can advertise it
Because
as,
in my understanding is we're short on medics.
Right.
At this point in time.
right, and we can advertise it as either or, and see what we get for applications. We haven't had a paramedic application for, over a year. It's been more than a year
But aren't
since.
we, isn't there one of our EMTs that's going to progress to a medic here very shortly?
Yes, he has finished paramedic school. The only thing he has left is to take his national test, which is kind of like boards. And as long as he gets through that, then he will be a paramedic, then just has to get all the licensing. It's still going to be probably, even if he were to pass the test, you know, in the next week or two, by the time he gets all the licensing and then the orientation done, we're probably looking at close to the end of the year, first of the year before he gets out on his own anyway.
Any other questions?
I move to approve your request for a full-time EMT hire, EMT/medic hire if you can get a medic.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
EMT medic?
EMT medic.
All right, thank you all very
Thanks,
much.
Troy.
All right,
Thank you.
Thanks, Troy.
Well, according to what I crossed off, we're down to public comment again. Don't see anybody that's jumping up to comment. See one guy sleeping in the corner. Public comment closes. Commissioner updates.
Go ahead, John.
Jeez.
We'll start with Wanda.
Well, went to the commissioner convention, learned some interesting things about a variety of different things. Didn't get much, I got a lot of information, but not much help from the summer legislative session or whatever they called it, so. But that was, learned some interesting things that might be helpful in the future.
No, I was there as well, and I think, Don, you did send out a sort of a request to try to improve our parliamentary procedures up here. There was a good session on rules and parliamentary procedures, and I think it made a lot of sense, and so, I don't know, I think we should encourage that, to have a little bit better, smoother operation on the meetings. The other thing is also, find out so that we have some end-of-life IT equipment in the building and stuff like that, so we're probably going to have to spend some money on getting some of these things replaced. They're just not being supported anymore from the companies. So, and hopefully in this process we can make a more unified IT plan across all of our counties. So we're really looking at having all departments, the sheriff's department, EMS, and emergency management, and everything here kind of all work together so that we have common technologies. It's going to be easier to support and maintain in the future.
I too attended the conference this last week, and basically I think in my mind the most interesting part was the legislative session summer study. Originally there was a list that was given out for 21 things that the summer study came up with to assist local county government. Of those 21 items, they actually decided to move 9 of them forward, to bring them to write bills and bring them to the upcoming session. They did not give any promises to any of the 9 but they assigned legislators to write bills and that. I think the one thing that assists or not necessarily the best, but allow counties to impose an administrative service fee for collecting and distributing property taxes. As we all know, here on this board, the county is only allocated 27% of the property taxes that are collected, and then Patty and them have to divvy out the rest of it, so spend time to do that. So I think that, and the legislators, the 14 legislators that were there seemed very moved to make sure that we got a little bit of assistance or some help on taking care of dispersing them. Unfortunately, there was not a lot of drive from those 14 legislators for a county sales tax. However, it was brought up that if there was a 2% county sales tax, it would generate $37.2 billion to the state in general, of which $143 million of that would go back to the county, the counties in the state. So that was a number that brought some attention to some of the 14 legislators that were there. Another one that I thought was gonna help us somewhat is redistribution of alcohol beverage tax. Counties receive 50% instead of 25, which would be some help to us.
Could be about extra 4.5 million to counties.
Yes, throughout the state. So there was some. I had kind of a decent feeling walking away from that session. I spent 6 hours there with those people, sitting there listening to them, and it was kind of fun to see how they actually function. But so hopefully, like I said, of the 9 bills that they're going to present to the legislature, hopefully that will get some draw for some assistance for the counties. Other than that, like I said, I sat through some of the sessions. Property tax was kind of a deep session to sit through and learn how some of those things go and get applied. So.
Yeah, I think it was pretty good. Like you said, the counties all over the state are struggling, and the state had a $94 million surplus. The theme that was said over and over again is this just doesn't seem fair, and I kind of got to agree with that. And one thing that John talked about too is the court-appointed attorney costs. That was a 13-1, and then it got revoted 14-0 to figure out something with the court-appointed attorney costs. Now, that could be limiting the cases to $10,000 or up to even creating a state public defender. And I think that's something the county, particularly Yankton, we could really get some benefit out of. So that's all I have.
I also attended at least the first half of the county commission meeting. I came back for a planning and zoning meeting on Tuesday night. I find them valuable. I enjoy talking with other commissioners there. Don't have anything to add with what is discussed, but I am pretty much committed on this, looking at our procedures in parliamentary procedures. So Gary, I asked Gary to print out the copy that he developed after we got back for our procedures, and I'd like each of you to review that, and probably in a couple meetings from now we'll put it on the agenda and see if we want to pass it. Anything else that we want to bring up? We are having a company picnic a week from last night, Monday night, 25th. Hoping that we have a good turnout.
Mr. Chairman, were you thinking about some sort of incentive for those who attend that? An incentive with some time off or something?
I think, Patty, the message that was sent out said 2 hours the afternoon of. They could go home and prepare for the event.
Okay.
And if they didn't come,
What happens if they don't show up?
that's just what I was gonna say. If they didn't attend the party, they stayed and worked.
Well, I get that, but what if they take 2 hours off and then don't attend, is my question.
Then they have to
I
speak
guess we'll
with
have to
you.
call the police, have them check on it. This department had responsibility to monitor that kind of thing. I don't want to have anything to do with it.
So are we closing down 2 hours early then, or?
I think we stated that the departments still have to
Said
be open.
stay open,
Okay.
one
They
person
can,
had
they
to
can
stay.
figure out
Okay.
how they wanna manage the 2 hours.
Okay.
So is this going to be, like catered, or you guys are just, is the food buying food, I mean, is.
What
like we
difference,
did
what,
last-
what difference does it make to you?
Well, if it's catered, she probably needs to get her figured out.
I was told we were gonna have Don's baked beans, and then we'll have to figure out the rest from there.
We're gonna grill. Jeff is gonna help me grill. And,
What are we grilling?
bratwurst, hot dogs for kids, and hamburgers. And then, I was gonna talk to Ryan to see if we could, cater in.
Some alcohol?
Pardon?
No,
No alcohol. Cater in, a salad and something else,
I'm pretty sure we could whip something up.
okay?
Sounds good.
And that's at 5:30 on Monday, is that correct?
Yes.
And I'm pretty proud of, I called Patty and asked her if she could send a flyer out to every employee and, asked her to, use her imagination and make a nice flyer, and she did. She forwarded it to the other Patty.
Yes, I did.
And this is the invitation, so I think it's a nice invitation.
Yes, it is.
So congratulate Patty on that one.
Yeah, and it's important that we've had a good year as a county. We can do better. We're working on always doing better, and our employees need to be recognized for it. So I feel very comfortable and excited about doing this for the employees.
I'd move to go into executive session for poor relief issues pursuant to SDCL 1-25-2.2 and 28-13 and 28-13-1.3, as well as personnel issues pursuant to SDCL 1-25-2 sub 1 and litigation pursuant to SDCL 1-25-2 sub 3.
A
Second.
motion to that effect, is there a second?
Second.
Ryan did? You're too late, John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're in executive session.
Maybe I'll reread it.
Reread it, because that's not what I saw on the thing that just came and I just
I know
deleted.
my wife already has
Has plans.
has plans that night. Like, I hope not.
So, I really like potato salad and baked beans.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you might know somebody that can.
So, well, I was like,
I had the beef stroganoff for lunch today.
that turned out really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Kettering was in charge of being.
I thought he was too, but he changed his mind to just grill it.
I'd be surprised if he can stand that. No, get in there. I gotta go home. I got a trial tomorrow. Get in here.
It's early yet.
Well, I'm gonna leave then, because I don't have time to dick around.
Can you hang around for 15 minutes?
Yeah, I'll hang around.
All right.
Okay.
We'll get this over with.
Yeah.
Here's this. Oh, that's for the executive session. Where's that? You have that resolution?
No?
Yeah, it is, it's right here. It just says the speed limit on the here and.
No, I have both of those. I didn't have the Knox box.
No, the Knox box, I looked at it and then I gave it to Deb and she said she'd forward it, so she didn't. But I was thinking in here, the speed limit on the Ernest run of 294 Street, 43-120 Northwest Jim River Road, and 43-127 Jim River Road is currently, I think that's right.
Okay.
None of them are in here.
That's me.
Oh,
There he is.
They were having important discussions.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta wonder what's gonna get all the discussions. Yeah, you never know what's gonna pop up sometimes. We had fun? Well, last Monday I did the city commission, Yankton City Commission meeting, and it took 4 hours.
Yeah, yeah, sometimes it gets kinda long and involved.
Over 2 hours of it was all on one agenda item.
The land purchase bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell they're thinking about.
Well, I mean, everybody that's got a problem, have a problem with one land sale for Paradigm, right? There's nothing they can do now
Yeah, cause it's pretty.
for that.
It's already done, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yes.
white Paradigm, you know, I mean, they brought Menards into town for God's sakes, which puts all your small hardware stores out of business, but we don't care.
Well, and that money, that land went to them for free.
Yeah.
You know, something like,
Yeah, so, and just cause Paradigm makes rifles, for God's sakes. And mostly, high end of the
very high end.
Yeah.
Yes.
All it's gonna do is drag sales tax into the city anyway.
Yeah.
Doesn't even pay that attention.
And they said, well, they're not staying, they're not doing this. Well, if they're selling a gun, low end I heard was 10,000 plus.
Yeah.
I've also
They're
heard
expensive.
20,000 plus.
They're expensive.
What's the sales tax on 20 grand?
I know,
It's a chunk.
and if it's.
If they fly in, pick it up,
Sold out.
and go, boom, it's a benefit.
Yeah, that one doesn't, I don't.
Who
was
cares
just-
if they stop at Culver's?
It was just the idea
Oh.
of making guns. Heaven forbid we make guns.
Yeah. Well,
It
that-
isn't any different than
Then the
that.
other thing is that they've been harping on is they don't know anything about Dr. Kingsford and businesses that he's owned and his education. It's like,
Who cares? It's not.
why are,
It's not your problem.
yeah, why
It's
do
kinda-
we need
it's
to?
kinda like
He
the-
could have just done a shell corporation to buy the property, and then all you get is, you got a lawyer's office. Or something,
It's like they're trying to get rid of all the animals in Sioux Falls, for God's sakes,
you know?
because we can't promote hunting. It's a killer sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's people.
Yeah. Well, it's like one of the
People there.
places I went for my Navy Reserve training, yeah, in the northwest of Seattle. It was a little place called Indian Island. It was actually an island, but you could drive out onto it. You had all these bunkers for ordnance, you know, bombs, missiles, torpedoes, all that stuff, right? So you can imagine the black-tailed deer that live there. I can understand not gonna allow rifle hunting. It's pretty wooded anyway. You know, you're not having rifle hunting. So it's archery only. Totally understand, totally support that. But buck only. You're not controlling the overpopulation by not taking some does.
Yeah.
You know, it's like pretty silly.
Sometimes people don't get their head around it.
Oh, well, that's the Pacific Northwest, which are notoriously
Really interesting.
don't always make the best choices. Up there, they raise cottonwood on the island at Westside Park. Oh my God, you thought somebody had kicked their dog. You know, it's like, yeah, I think it was a day or two later, the crew that was already scheduled came in and took it down. And it's like, oh, do you wanna figure out how much it's gonna cost once it's an island again? To take that sucker down? I'll guarantee it's gonna be a lot more expensive than when it's in the middle of a construction zone. Ugh.
No, they can't get water in it anyway, it's been floated out of there.
Yeah.
Now they want their artesian well to run again like they used to, keep it full.
Well, that artesian well's been part of the plan all along. And now they're on the third try to try and keep water in there.
Well, they've never have been able to keep water in there.
Well, better than it has been.
That may be shit. When I was a little kid, they had to have water running in all the time.
Yeah.
And they try to keep it, so there's a gravel vein in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And it just goes out, and when you try to keep an island in the middle of the river without putting clay underneath it to keep the water from floating away. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Probably should have taken the island out and started over and put a clay liner underneath it and then put your island back. Oh, well.
Yeah. That might have been.
That artesian well used to flow pretty good when I was a little kid.
Yeah. Oh, they're taking the island out of that, well, the little tree that was on there before they took the big cottonwood, okay, well, you could pluck that out, put it to the side, and replant it again later.
God. There's 3 cottonwood trees out there when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
That's been a long time.
Yeah, guess what, that means you're old.
Yeah.
I know how that is.
Caught a shit pile of sunfish out of there.
Yeah. Now my nephew Tyler catches a lot of critters, not just there, but all over the place. But yeah, they'll fish down there.
Patty, who's doing the new fire district? Was that Mollen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I kinda thought it was.
I know they've been working for quite a few years on it.
Yep.
I remember when Mission Hill had one. You remember that too, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
We got a couple, 2 or 3 fire departments coming. Yeah, I got, agenda item. Economic development, 3 motions were made on it, just like.
Oh,
And they were
my.
all voted down after a lot of discussion, and it was good discussion. But they were all voted down big time. But, you know, people are still, there are still a few people that are loud enough that have a problem with how they sold that corner property.
Yeah, I know,
Paradigm.
that's a big deal.
Well, it's a done deal, so.
Yeah, there's
Every-
nothing they can do about it now.
Yeah, exactly. Everything, if they would have passed any of those, it wouldn't have affected Paradigm at all. It would have affected everything going forward, which would have killed us.
Yeah,
You know? So, you know, it's just, you know,
yeah.
yeah, it's just one of those things, it's like, yeah, it was 4 hours, and they started at 7.
Oh, my.
And it was on a Monday night, I'm going, oh my God. And luckily, instead of having to go through 4 hours of audio, got a quick, 3-4 minute interview with Amy Leone, and used that for those sound bites, a couple sound bites for that to do the story for the morning. And we had the whole interview for the following day. You know, and it's like, whoa. Yeah. But that's one thing I like, to be able to do a quick interview after a meeting, just to get a couple quick highlights, and so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes doesn't work out that way.
Yeah, it will.
You gonna keep the old one and put it in a jar?
And 3 months afterwards, it's exciting.
But because of the Pennington
Make a motion to go back into regular session.
Have a motion and a second to return to regular session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We're back in regular session.
And nothing happened in executive session.
Nothing happened.
I would move to, I can't. Items for next meeting would be the Knox box. With emergency management.
And for the meeting after that, if you want to put it down, I would like to start looking at these articles and bylaws that Gary's provided us. So I'd like everybody to have reviewed it by then.
Be the October 3rd.
Or bylaw,
No, I
or
think
you wanna do
that
October 17th
The
for
second
bylaws?
one would be
October
17th.
17th.
Yes.
When is the 5-year plan meeting? Tuesday?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday,
Time?
6 o'clock, I believe.
And then we're gonna have that a quorum may be present, and then we're gonna have a quorum announcement for the barbecue too.
For the picnic?
For the
Picnic.
picnic, yes.
And also a quorum possibly for the Lincoln Day dinner on Saturday.
I'm not going.
Oh, actually Ryan can't go, so we may not have a quorum there, so.
Yeah.
I never have before put one in for that.
Okay.
It's kind of like the convention.
Okay. I'm good with that.
So, the picnic. And the 5-year plan, or no, that's a regular meeting.
That's a meeting the next Tuesday.
And picnic, and what was the other one?
The Knox box from emergency management.
No, I mean the quorums.
I just said 5-year plan and picnic.
And the
was
party.
the only two that I had, but,
So it's just a picnic.
Yeah.
There is, I don't know if any of you are going, the contact center.
I'm not going because
To what?
contact center is having an open house.
Reopening of, and, I think it's at 5 o'clock.
Is it September 28th?
Yeah.
Where at?
It's just an open house
Oh,
down at the
okay.
contact.
what time was that?
I'll have to, I
5
can't remember,
p.m.
All
on
right,
Friday.
5 to 7 or something like that.
all right.
If any more than 2 are going.
At a time?
Why don't we just announce that,
Yeah.
and then we're safe? Move, that we adjourn.
Have a
Second.
motion and a second. Motion by Dan, second by Wanda. To adjourn, discussion, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed the same, we are adjourned.